Hello, welcome to another video with me. My name is Melissa. If you're new to my channel, I am an illustrator and graphic designer primarily, but I have a background in fashion design and I like to make style related videos, sometimes incorporate a little bit of astrology here and there. In today's video, I was inspired to do a beginner's style guide. And what I was mainly inspired by was the fact that trends have been coming and going at a rapid rate. And, it's sometimes really hard to keep up. And sometimes there are trends that don't feel true to us. So I wanted to create kind of a go to guide and remind ourselves that there are things about us that, stay the same. And we should honor those things and remind ourselves that you are enough without incorporating all of these new trends into our lives. Nothing against trends, but I feel like with this style guide, as trends come and go, we can see what suits us, what flatters us, and how to incorporate it into our lives. So the first point that I want to talk about is color analysis. So what I'm going to show you is just a surface level of how to find your color season. I definitely recommend going to a professional when possible. However, I have heard stories where some people will go to a color analyst one year and then go to another one and get completely different results. So I think it's just good to have at least like a basis knowledge of knowing what is the best color season best for us. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So how I went along this journey, I'm just going to use myself as a case study. The first thing I did, I went on TikTok and I used the filters. The filters that I used was, I'll show it over here. Definitely don't think that using these TikTok filters to decide our color season is the end all be all, but I do think it is a good starting point just so that you can get an outsider's perspective of what your color seasons are. So for example, for many years, I thought that I was an autumn, at least a deep autumn, and I would try to I wear all black for the most part, but occasionally throughout my life, I have tried to sprinkle in autumn colors. And there were times where the colors would literally blend in with my skin, and I would actually get comments on that. So that was partially why I got interested in actually finding out my color season. When you try out these filters, always do it without makeup, do it in natural lighting, and try as many color filters as you want. So I stopped at 82 comments. I still am getting comments, but I had to stop at some point so that I can take notes for the video. So for spring, I got 10. Summer, I got 8. Fall, I got 2, which is funny because, like I said, I always thought I was an autumn. And then winter, I got 5, 10, 15, 16. And like I mentioned, I've done this several times. Like I used the filter and then posted it several times, but that specific video got like 100K. And I was like, okay, I should probably use this as a voting consensus. But in my other videos where I tried it, so many people said I was a winter. And going back to why I thought I was an autumn, for a long time, because I'm olive toned and I tan, I always assumed I was an autumn and I must be warm toned. And after like showing up on the camera on TikTok, I found out that I'm actually neutral toned and that olive skin toned people can still be considered a winter and have cool or neutral toned skin. These colors in front of you on your body and make your own judgment. So I don't own a lot of colors. I own a lot of black, nothing wrong with that. I have other reasons why I want to find out my color season, which I'll get to towards the end of this. So I went to Target. I feel like out of all of the clothing stores, Target looks the least horrendous in terms of dressing room lighting. And I grabbed as many colors as I could find in terms of clothing and not really focusing on the silhouette, obviously, and just trying to grab as many colors that cover each season. And it was very interesting because, like I said, I don't wear a lot of colors on a daily basis. And it was just interesting to see and analyze which colors made me look dull, sick, or washed out, and which colors made my skin glow. There are several people on TikTok who are professional color analysts, and they say a common mistake that people make when trying to find out their color season is choosing colors that stand out on them. And what you're looking for are colors that kind of take away your eye bags and uplift yourself. And I noticed all of the pale colors made me look dull and ill. And it kind of like definitely emphasized parts of my skin that I'm not very like secure about. It emphasized my eye bags, and I've noticed the more saturated a color was, the more I looked awake, like I had this glow, and like you can notice me. So that was an interesting analysis. And then I posted these videos on TikTok and got a second opinion from a lot of people. And a lot of people agreed the more saturated a color was, the better it looked on me, and the more washed out, the more icky people felt. And kind of like the last step, again, not the end all be all, but I tried this website called colorwise.me. I don't fully recommend it. I think it's a fun starting point, just like the TikTok filters are, but apparently a lot of people got the same results. But after all of this conglomerate of methods that I've tried, I have concluded that I am most likely a deep winter. Again, you can go to a color analyst. In my city, it's $200. That's currently not in my budget, but based off of like what a lot of people have been saying and even making my own judgment, I have noticed the colors that are in deep winter, which are very saturated, work on my skin the best. I have the skin tones that fall under a deep winter. I have dark hair, dark eyes, and I am a high contrast person. I have a friend, her name is Sophie. She's been helping me a lot with also like analyzing what color season I may be. She does also color seasons herself. She's also a rug tufter. So I'm going to put all the links to her studio and brand down below, and obviously right here. What am I going to do with all this information as someone who's not going to stop wearing all black? So I feel like knowing your color season is beneficial if you wear makeup. So if you were to look for the right red lipstick shade, I feel like if you are in the warmer tones, you can pull off orangey reds the best. If you are cool toned or neutral toned in the winter and spring, you can cover off more plummy shades, and so on and so forth. Blushes, lipstick, etc. I also feel like it's beneficial to surround your space with colors that are within your season. Dita Von Teese is one of my favorite muses, and she is known for using pink lighting in her home because she says that it softens her skin and it flatters her. So I feel like when you are in your own home and your own safe space, it's kind of nice to surround yourself with colors that make you feel your best. As I'm editing this video, I realized also I've been getting continuous comments in my TikTok about that color season filter I use, and people are so convinced that I am certain seasons and I'm for sure not a dark winter. But I found this post on TikTok which kind of solidified, for me at least, that I am a dark winter. I, for many years, thought I was a dark autumn, and a good amount of people also still think I'm a dark autumn. But this post specifically kind of confirms that I am a dark winter, not a dark autumn, because one of my dominant features is my dark hair, and overall dark features and a high contrast, and that is one of the biggest determining factors of being a winter. Dark autumns also don't pull off black as well as a winter does. Dark autumns look best in dark browns, burgundies, and I look okay in those colors, but black is my most natural color, and that is why I think I'm a dark winter. Next I want to talk about is Kibbe body types. So out of all of the body type analysis, I do appreciate Kibbe because it does not incorporate weight, and it is all about your body proportions. And I'm including this in my beginner's style guide because your Kibbe is not something that changes with your weight or over time. It is your bone structure and your body proportions and your height. Granted, your height does slightly change as you get older. There are several different Kibbe body types that you may be classified as. So the way I started you can actually get professionally classified. If I were to get classified by anybody, I would want to be classified by Ellie Jean, who is the YouTuber Body and Style. She has a long waitlist, but until then, I have an idea of what Kibbe body type I am. So here are some tips of how I found out mine, and maybe this can help out you guys. So looking at the Kibbe body type, on the Kibbe website, there are Kibbe verified celebrities. And the way I look at it is I know for a fact which body types I definitely am not. So I am 5'2", so I definitely would not classify as a dramatic. I don't have any long limbs. I come off as petite in photos and just my general self. So I wouldn't classify myself as a dramatic. I have always loved body types such as Zoe Kravitz, Ariana Grande, and when I used to work out, that was like the body type that I would aspire for. And no matter how much I work out or how much weight I lose, I will never be as dainty as some of those women, and that is okay. That's also why I like Kibbe body type, because it proves how beautiful the spectrum of body types are, and you don't need to be this dainty woman to be classified as beautiful. But I wouldn't classify myself as a gamine, which is the woman I mentioned. Audrey Hepburn is like the queen of the gamines. I've noticed she's always as an example when gamines are mentioned. I also crossed out classic body types just because symmetry that comes with classicness. They also look very timeless whenever they wear sleek clothing. And I noticed I can look quite frumpy in some of those pieces that are classified as the great guidelines that honor a classic body type. They make me look frumpy and kind of boring, whereas they can look very timeless on a classic body type. And like I mentioned, there is this symmetry that comes with a classic body type. My shoulders are slightly wider than my hips, and I have a slight hourglass, and I have very wide hips. I also have short limbs, and there's just this evenness that I don't classify as a classic, which is totally fine. So that narrowed it down to romantic and soft natural. For a long time, I thought I was a romantic body type. I always resonated with Emilia Clarke because I always felt like we had a very similar body type. Before I read about Kibbe, I realized that my dominant trait does not really fall under the romantic body type. Like I mentioned, one of my biggest insecurities growing up was my shoulders. I would constantly be told that, Melissa, you look buff, or I just have this wideness to me. And again, it's not bad, but it is one of my dominant traits. And that is why I narrowed down my body type to being a soft natural. There are some similarities that it does have with the romantic. I don't have that 8 shape that is classified with the romantic type. Again, my shoulders are slightly wider than my hips, and there's also this bluntness in my shoulders and bones that aren't as soft as a romantic. It also helps looking at celebrities to narrow it down, but also just paying attention to your body and honoring your traits and noticing certain things about you. Instead of beating yourself up for the traits that you do have, realizing that all these beautiful women have similar body types as you. I want to talk about face essence. And it does go really hand in hand with Kibbe, but essence, the idea of only focusing on your face was coined by Kitchener, who, if you look up Kitchener face essence, you'll find an abundance of information. As mentioned when I was talking about Kibbe body type, Ellie Jean of Body and Style also covers that as well. So very similar to Kibbe, there are the same classifications, except there is the additional ethereal. Safe to assume that what your body type is the same as your face essence. However, there are certain people who have a different face that doesn't exactly match their body. Some people may have a very curvaceous body and have a very angelic face. And I noticed that Marilyn Monroe is one of prime examples of that she is a romantic body type. She has this very soft innocence about her that is, I believe, ethereal, that Ellie Jean mentions. So Kitchener mentions that you can have up to 3 essence. So I can be quite harsh on myself. And this is where I went to TikTok again. I was kind of scared because people can be quite harsh, but I found some really kind comments. So I made a video that talked about face essence and how I have an idea of what I might be. I've always had an idea that I might be a dramatic face essence because I have very strong jawline, and you can see it in some of my TikTok videos as well. Like, I just have strong cheekbones, and I have been told that I have very blunt features and contrasted with a soft nose. And I've always thought I was a romantic body type. So I have an inkling that maybe, even though I may not be a romantic body type, it may be my essence, and that's where I was getting that from. So, based off of some of the comments that I was getting off TikTok, a lot of people agreed I have a dramatic essence as a tie between romantic and classic essence. And I was very surprised that more than one person said that I have ethereal essence. There was an interesting comment that someone said there is just this soft that reminds them of the moon for people who have ethereal or angelic essence. I don't think it's coined as angelic anymore, by the way. So angelic equals ethereal. So based off of the comments, I am a dramatic, classic, ethereal essence, and how this affects your dressing and everything. So if you think of Kibbe body type as a guideline of what silhouettes to wear, your essence can help you with your details. So for example, I am a soft natural, so I wear a lot of open neckline, drapey materials, soft fabrics. But because of my dramatic essence that I know for sure I have, I love incorporating corporate goth wear into my aesthetic. I love mixing harnesses with business trousers, and I love wearing heeled loafers. So that is a way I mix my soft natural Kibbe with my dramatic essence. Next on my style guide is astrology. If you're familiar with my TikTok account, I actually have a whole series of dressing as your rising and Venus. I was taking requests for a while, but it was getting very daunting, and maybe eventually I'll get back to it, or maybe I'll just make longer form videos on here. We'll see. But a good starting point. So what I do to make those videos is look up your rising sign on, I prefer astrochart.com. That is my preferred way of getting information, but definitely cross-check your references. So as you look up your rising sign, we're going to use myself as a case study. I am a Pisces rising. So try to look for celebrities amongst my rising that I really resonated with. So Kristen Ritter actually has been one of my biggest style muses for years, and finding out she was a Pisces rising almost felt like the stars aligning. This works for me personally because I actually feel very connected to my rising sign and just Pisces in general. So my next step is, if you don't feel connected to your rising sign or Venus sign, I recommend taking a look at your chart again and seeing which degree in terms of positions that have a pretty high degree. So again, using myself as an example, I am an Aries sun, and for many years, almost my whole life, no one can ever guess that I am an Aries sun. But whenever I tell them I'm a Cancer moon or a Pisces rising, they're like, oh, that's what I thought your sun sign was. And if you see in my chart, I'm only a 1 degree in Aries. And I do have another placement in Aries, which is my Venus, and that showcases more so in my love language. But in terms of personality and how I come off, it's definitely more Pisces. If the rising sign method does not work for you, I still think you can find style inspiration and style muses based off of your astrological placements by seeing which signs in your chart you just resonate with. So I resonate with my Pisces because I have so many placements in there, and it's my rising. But if you have a low degree in your rising sign, maybe you have a higher degree in your sun sign or your moon sign, then maybe look up celebrities who also have a strong presence of whatever placement you share with them and take style inspiration from them. So for example, I resonate a lot with my Pisces. I also resonate a lot with Kristen Ritter, so I am going to use her as an example. I really love the mix of quirkiness that she has in her wardrobe, but she still has a bit of edginess. She has this strong red lip, and we can't ignore the fact that we both have micro bangs. Enough, I actually got micro bangs before I even found out she was a Pisces. So I have always loved leopard print for many years, and she has this great leopard coat that I actually found a dupe of on Depop. And she also wears these long black coats mixed in with other elements in her wardrobe. So that's an example as well. These are all just meant to be surface level ways of finding out elements in you that just don't change, and you should honor them. So as trends come and go, how does it work with your astrology placement or your Kibbe or your face essence and your color season? So hopefully this all helps, and hopefully this was just a fun video to watch. Until next time, have a great week. Bye.